Good morning, everyone. So what we're looking at here is a list of companies reporting earnings this week that are in the upper 10% of the highest volume stocks and anything that is above $50. So there may be some higher volume stocks that aren't on the list because they're under $50, for example, Intel and Verizon. But I wanted to make a list for myself of what was coming out this week since there were such a huge amount of companies reporting. I said yesterday about 2,400. So I wanted to be aware, even if I'm not in them, of, what are the leaders or potentially could have an effect on a sector of the market. So what we have here, obviously yesterday is gone, and the big news was Google, which we'll take a look at. And today we've got Amgen, Caterpillar already out. It's up nicely. Whatever. I'm just marking off what's today. Facebook is tomorrow. McDonald's is up nicely already. Haven't looked at Chipotle. That's been getting whacked. And so on. So we'll take a look at these others. But, just again, be aware of what's coming out day to day, especially the big high volume ones. That's what's going to be tomorrow. So obviously everybody will be interested in Facebook. Gilead, bios have been leading. So keep an eye on that. Boeing has been a big winner. LRCX, of course, and so on. PayPal is looking great. I know it's got expectations for higher prices. And then, as we go into the end of the week, Thursday is going to be the real big day. So they're the big ones there. And Starbucks, maybe we'll take a look at that, but it's got an interesting pattern here. I mean, if it could come out and surprise, that could be a big mover to the upside. So we'll take a look at that. And then, at the end of the week, we've got oil. You've got Exxon and Chevron reporting. And, airlines have been doing okay. UAL's down a lot. But anyway, so the end of the week, we could see some further movement, maybe bottoming in these oil stocks, since they're trying. And we looked at that yesterday. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So S&Ps are up here. Bullish pattern. I spoke about that yesterday. The pullback to minor support. Didn't change the line here. Should be green. Bottoming tail bar up. Nice little pullback there with bottom tails. And, right now, pushing higher and up against the prior highs here that you can see on the intraday chart. Weekly looks just great. I mean, it's a very controlled, ascent here, and it hasn't accelerated to the upside. So we'll see. Maybe that's in the cards. I mean, this is an acceleration to the upside, the beginning, but then it consolidates bullishly. And I'm going to take a look at another pattern bottoming, and, just to take a look at bottoming type of patterns, and one in which has higher probabilities and another which is lower probability and more odds of getting whipsawed. All right, so where is the Nasdaq futures? They took, that whip there on the Google earnings, and, they're just wild here. You can see that, they're extended. It took out the prior high, greater than 100% retracement. That's a concept that we know. You typically get a pullback or a stall in the momentum after a greater than 100% retracement. Such as this. You don't need any, again, fib lines or whatever. It went down, it retraced all the way back up. It did it with momentum and just logically, common sense, it's going to stall. When maybe it pulls back or it goes sideways here, and the weekly looks good. When we look at these kind of patterns in multiple time frames, understanding that is a huge part of being on the right side of a move or an interpretation of what's happening. Sure, this is a big momentum move. It's extended. It should consolidate or pull back. But is it likely to be the end of a move? Well, we're never going to know absolutely. But with a weekly chart that is corrected like this, it appears that the move is just getting started. Now, we still have to have a process of monitoring, meaning, this, if it continues to be bullish, it should stay above this line here. Right? That was resistance, and this should be support, and the consolidation should stay above this line. If it stays up here, that's very bullish, and then continue to move higher. And the further it gets extended, the greater the probability of a bigger correction. And when you have two time frames, in this case the daily and the weekly, if this was to get extended, well, then the odds are very high of a big pullback or correction. And then, of course, we look for the internals to be in alignment with that. All right, so let's take a look at oil. So here's a kind of a whippy, it's not even really a bottom, but you can see it's retraced here strongly, and it's going sideways here. So that's a whippy kind of an attempt to bottom. It's a lower probability trading pattern. Now, this is down near support. It's in a downtrend on the weekly, and it's coming up into some minor resistance there. So, if you're a day trader, you can obviously trade it any day of the week, pretty much when it sets up according to your trading plan. But from these time frames, it's just better to stay away. Historically, that is the case. Gold had a nice retracement up against resistance here. We'll see what it does. Just overall, from the higher time frames, unless you're a short-term trader, there's just nothing there. This morning, it's kind of rolled over a little bit here. And, of course, there's the red bar and bonds. Down big time here this morning, pulling back. Now, I want to show you a nice type of a pattern, bottoming here. And it's nice what it's doing right now. Here's JCPenney. And the retail sector, it's in downtrends. Some stocks may be bottoming here, but nothing to really get excited about. But I wanted to review this pattern in that the weekly here is retesting a prior low. It is still in a downtrend, but it's the longest it's gone sideways since this whole down move. Now, is there something to the left here? It's like support? No. So here, maybe it's creating some support that it can move up from. Now, what's bullish about this? It's the fact that it's going sideways up here. It's up at this resistance, and here's the concept of absorbing supply. So if we go back and we look at oil here, you can say, okay, well, this is absorbing supply. It's up near this high, but it's whippy versus JCP, which is going sideways after a move up that has created this little minor void, as I call it. Void is a momentum move that leaves no support. In this case, no support void here below. And it's going sideways. So this bullish price action says that buyers are continuing to step up in the face of this resistance, suggesting that it could go higher. And pre-market here, it popped up to 530-ish, and now it's pulling back, into this area. So that could be something to put on the watch list to see if it continues to, bottom out here, turn around, and with this weekly time frame here, sideways as it has, it's maybe this is a big turning point for JCP. So worth putting on the interest list, for a stock that's been really beaten down here and has the potential to, at least retrace some of this move. And if these retailers can get turned around, we can take a look at the index here. Whippy. Right? So JCP is showing relative strength to the index itself. And, of course, we can start looking through stocks within this index. And this one is on some support here. So maybe it's in the early stages of a bottom. But there are plenty of retailers that just look terrible, like Macy's. And I haven't looked at Target lately. Okay, that's a whippy type of an attempt to bottom there. The other thing that's really looking better here, I like today, is the financials. Most of them, the big ones, have reported earnings already. It's up here this morning after a pullback to this minor support point. And I think it's getting ready. See the consolidation as well up near this resistance, absorbing the supply. I think it might be getting ready to push up to new highs here. So Citibank has led. It retested this bottoming tail bar. It's up nicely this morning. And the weekly is a pullback, a buy setup here. So I like that. And JPM up as well. Nice move up, pullback, bottoming type action. Has already cleared the high, so relative strength there. Looking good. Goldman not so good, really whippy. So there's something else going on here, but it could be part of a larger bottom. But I wouldn't be interested in this unless it could really show its ability to turn around here. But look at the which potentially a rounding bottom here. It's got to come up back into this area and then do the same type of thing I showed you in JCPenney. It comes up into the resistance, begins to absorb that supply, and that's a great pattern looking for higher prices because here's the giant void up above. So just set an alert up here and forget it. Look at other things, and if it can get back up there, I'll be looking at it. So if you're watching these videos, I'll make you aware when it turns around. Starbucks. This is going to be, as I showed, reporting earnings. And here is the retest that's beginning to happen. It's doing nothing. Probably, most are waiting here to see what it's going to do, but it's had a huge correction. It's into some support, 200 MA on the daily here. So as it's retesting, can it get moving here? Okay. So kind of a long video there, guys. I wanted to show you a few concepts on the technicals besides the review here this morning. So good luck in today's trading, and we'll update tomorrow.